Okay. Good afternoon. So I would like to welcome all of you for coming to the mentorship program, and we are going to begin by a word of prayer. So let's pray. Everlasting Father, we come before you this time to thank you for enabling us to be here. As you're going to start our mentorship program, we pray that, Lord, you're going to guide us, you're going to protect us. Even as you're starting, we call for your grace, and even as you're going to finish, we pray that, Lord, you're going to help us. Everything that you're going to learn here, may you help us be able to implement them, and it's in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, for what I've not prayed for. May the Holy Spirit say more for me, I pray. Amen. So I would like to thank all of you for coming here. I know that most of you have come here in order to be able to learn, in order to be able to get a good mentorship program, and I trust that all of you will move here having knowledge about one thing or another. So as you're going to begin the program, I'm going to introduce the organizer, speakers, associates, intern, and the former African Health Law interns. So we are going to begin by our organizer, Madam Faith Simiu. Pardon me for that. And also joining us online, we have the Dean, Mr. Aminga, Professor Aminga, who is joining us online, and he's going to do the opening remarks right now. Professor Aminga.
Yes. Please speak. Just. Just a moment. Sorry, Prof.
I also appreciate our organization, our ladies. I really appreciate our students who are both in the room and who are online. But I also have to appreciate our former students who are now practitioners in law, including Sarkis Alakonya and all others who have joined us online and the ones who are in the room for the purposes of this Africa Health Law Mentorship Forum. Let me point out that many of us went to school, including university, without a lot of mentorship. We actually didn't know so much about what was out there after the lecture theaters. We didn't know what to expect in the world of work. But at the same time, I must appreciate that was a time when the level of knowledge, particularly access to knowledge, was extremely limited because we depended on hard copies of publications. So each of us had to go to the library if you wanted to survive through the academic program and even in the Kenya School of Law. Let me appreciate the fact that this is an initiative which is worth pursuing and indeed institutionalizing, because a number of us are now global in terms of our perception, and even in terms of our interaction. So I appreciate this and welcome our speaker and the entire audience so that we can all learn something to help us to navigate the turbulent waters that are now available to us, because the world of work is extremely turbulent, but we can afford to navigate with proper knowledge and with proper skills. Thank you very much and welcome to this particular session. Thank you very much. MC, you can take over. MC, you can take over. The Master of Ceremony, over.
So we are going to continue with the program where I'll be introducing the organizer speaker, and because of time, they're not going to talk much as due to the program, as the program is going to go on, everyone is going to have their time to talk. So what they're going to do, they're going to stand and wave so that you may be able to recognize them. Is that okay? So we are going to begin with the organizer of this of this event, sorry, Madam Faith Simiyu, kindly stand and wave. Hello. We are going to follow by the speaker. So one of the speaker is here physical, and the other one will be joining us via online. She's in Belgium. So I'm going to request if Mr. Zakeo could stand and wave. Hi. And then we have the pleasure of having one of our lecturers here, Madam Shali, if she could stand and wave.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Then we have the 2023 African Health Law Associate and Interns, if they could all stand up and wave. Yes. And then we have the current African Health Law Associates, if they could stand and wave. Yes, and we also have the African Health Law Interns, if they could stand and wave. Yeah. So I'm going to be the moderator of this program, and you're going to kick off by inviting our organizer, Madam Faith, if she could come and pass opening remarks. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure if you can hear me online. Stephen, you can confirm we can be heard online. Welcome. I'm not going to take much of your time. I know some of you have been my students, and some of you are probably here by association, by being associated with those who are here. I want to welcome you to the program of mentorship. We are going to be talking to you about law firms, NGOs, and various ways of maximizing your potential. They're going to be from some of the students who are here, who have managed to get internship opportunities. And then we are also going to have others who have already graduated, and they're going to tell you how to get those opportunities. And if you are ambitious and you want to do your master's and your PhD, one of our colleagues, Dr. Ali Nissen, will be joining us at 15:50. You know, the Belgians keep time, so I am trying to buy us some time until then for her to join us and speak about your master's and PhD, as well as Alakonya, who was a former student from here, but ultimately has really succeeded. And you can see him wearing his law firm's color to brand it and show you that he has come, and that is his surname, Alakonya, and the law firm is Alakonya Law. So hopefully we'll be able to be finished in the next 2 hours at most. Then we'll give you more information on how you can also join this next year when we are going to be recruiting the next lot of researchers and interns. Thank you very much for coming. It is not in vain. I'm sure you're going to carry 1 or 2 things with you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, councils. I'm glad this wonderful day to see you. And first of all, allow me to recognize the presence of Dr. Ndambo and also Dr. Ashers in our presence who have just joined us online. And then I would like to take you through our 2023 research associates who also recognize Madam Jack. Madam Jack. Oh, I've just had also Dr. Jack. Madam Jack is present, so I also recognize her in our presence. Yes, thank you for that. So our first research associate is Lennox Agungu, who is a finalist student at the JKUAT Karen campus. He's passionate about the Constitution, human rights, and matters of judicial review. Lennox has worked at Africa Health Law as a researcher at the Nairobi Sub-County Division, currently under an internship at MMW Advocates. Lennox communicates his message mainly through writing and has co-authored various articles on matters of human rights as well as areas of law. Thank you very much. Let us welcome Mr. Lennox to come and say a word.
Good afternoon. Let me just, a point of correction. My name is Angungu, not Agungu, Lennox. Thank you for the welcome. As already been spoken, I'm a finalist here at JKUAT, just awaiting graduation. And for today, I'll be speaking about how to get internships in various law firms and NGOs. But first, I would really love to appreciate Madam Faith for all the efforts that she's put into these programs, because not many lecturers do this. And it's actually like a new dawn for JKUAT, that when you go out there, you hear that there's one of the lecturers actually doing something that is not mainly enclosed in classrooms. So for internships, before you start thinking about getting any internship anywhere, you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose of you going to look for this internship? Are you going to look for internship solely for the purpose that you had one of your classmates is out there in Mohammed Muigai? One of your classmates is doing well in MMW Advocates. If you go into looking for internship for those purposes, then I won't lie to you, it will exhaust you, and you will find yourself actually rethinking why you actually took this law degree. So before you look for internship, always have the mentality that you're going to improve yourself out there. You're going to market yourself maybe in the future purposes by honing some set of skills that will help you in your future career. Now, if I was to tell you and stand here today and say that I've written many applications to different law firms for my internship, I will be lying. At the same time, if I told you that I have the key formula that if you applied today, you will get into any law firm in Kenya, I'll also be lying. But I can help you with what I did. If it applies to you, well and good. If it doesn't, you can always craft your own way into getting into any law firm. So first, I've been working in a law firm for the past 1 year, MMW Advocates. And one key thing we usually taught is your brand. When you walk into a room, how do people know that you're there? Do you make noise, or does your oratory skills actually make you stand out in the room? If you walk out today and say, like my good friend Shalom, I'm working at an internship in Singapore maybe, or I have co-authored a book with someone, you see, that one already has put yourself out there as a brand. So do you do any articles? Do you do any moots? Do you have any area in law that you said, this is the path that I want to take? And the good thing about our time is that you can look away from the things that we did, maybe traditional. Don't look at me, I do the traditional way, Constitution and human rights. But There are new areas in law, sports law. There are fashion trends. You can see that ADR is emerging. You can see mining law. It's not necessarily that when you grow up, you go to KSL, you automatically want to go into civil litigation without knowing the purpose of why you're going there. So the first thing I can tell you is build your own brand. Even if you're going to apply for internship, I will tell you for a matter of fact, this year I was looking at applications for different advocates. But you look at the way an advocate has written their email, no attachments, no salutations. Even if you are the one employing such a person, will you take them? Definitely not. So when you build your own brand, it goes away from the idea of just writing articles. It goes away from the idea of having good oratory skills. It is how you address people out there. When you start to go to maybe Alakonya here, you greet him. Then you find out that you cannot even complete one complete English sentence properly. Then you see automatically he will not pay any attention to you. Or maybe you go to a different advocate and you're going to tell them I've written an article, but you've never posted it. It's in your Google Docs just idling there. You've gone also to maybe work in a different law firm, work somewhere else, but you don't have a CV, you don't have a cover letter. Are you actually a brand? Or do you want to be employed in a low-tier law firm? So the message I'm trying to say is that whenever you want to apply for anything in this life, right now or maybe in the future, with my little knowledge, that is, and I wish you all the best. Craft your own future. Let no one tell you how you're going to do things. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, so as our first speaker has spoken, I would like just to summarize what he has said into two things. Before you apply and go to internship, you must ask yourself, what is my purpose? Why am I applying to go to do internship at this law firm and not this law firm? When you find the reason why you're applying for that internship, or when you find the purpose why you're going to do that internship there, you may be able to work at your best. You don't reach there and then you start asking yourself, law is hard. Law is hard because I am forced to maybe do a lot of research. I'm doing a lot of drafting. You must find your purpose before applying and your passion for it. And also find how you're going to brand yourself so that when you walk inside a room, everybody will not start to ask you, and by the way, what did you say you are doing? Because already you have branded yourself in a way, everybody is going to be able to recognize you even before you talk. So after Lennox, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who is Mr. Zakayo. And before he comes to speak, let me give you a brief history about Mr. Zakayo. So for his past experience, Mr. Zakayo is an alumni of JQuat. He was here in 2011 to 2014, where he participated in very many moots. So he did his Bachelor of Laws undergraduate in JQuat, and he went to the University of Shalford, where he did his Masters of Law. Then he went and started his legal career where he worked as a legal officer in Rift Valley Railways, 2015 to 2016. Then after there, he went and worked as an operations manager at ABNO Software International in 2021 to 2022, where in December 2021, he had the privilege of opening his own law firm, where he does corporate commercial law, and he's also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. So allow me to welcome Mr. Zakayo.
Friends and colleagues, good afternoon. I hope I can be heard by those who are online. As has been ably introduced, my name is Zakayo Alakonya. By the name Zakayo, it doesn't mean I do any taxation issues. So it's just how I was named. It's always a pleasure and privilege to come here to my alma mater and see the growth, the changes. It's always a beautiful experience, and every time Madam Faith reaches out, I can never say no. I'll always make sure that I create time, because primarily I am a product of mentorship. I have grown because of mentorship. I've grown because people took chances on me. I've grown because people said a word or two to me. And having gone ahead, I'll always make time to share that which I have, because someone took time to share that which they had. And that is the reason why I had to make time and come here personally. Initially, I had indicated I will be virtually, but I thought it best to come here and just have the experience and feel the energy and look at these young faces with a lot of hope and promise, and maybe give you words that will break you and then only to build you up. So some dose of reality also comes alongside the mentorship process. Allow me also to thank Madam Faith for setting this up. Like the first speaker said, this is not happening in a lot of institutions, so consider yourself very lucky. And this happens, why should you consider yourself lucky? Because you are getting a privilege to look into what the profession really looks like, get a perspective, get an understanding, and therefore, with that knowledge, you position yourself into what you're getting into. Those of them who are before you walked into this profession blind and were learning on the job as they go. And so consider yourself really privileged to have such sessions. Please take them seriously. Take what you, as much as you can. A lot of the times, you have a lot of advice coming your way, and you get out of this room very excited. Then after 1 week, you've forgotten most of them, and you don't know what they said. How do you go about all those things? But keep them in your heart. They do tend to become useful after some time. My address to you today is going to talk about positioning and branding generally. And as you have noted, I've not worn a suit. That's because anyway, on Fridays at the farm, we do farm colors. So chose to wear my brand because this is acceptable even to a client. When a client works in the office, they will look at you, why are you not in a suit? But then they realize you're wearing your brand, and they become a bit comfortable. So basically positioning and branding. And I'll start this way. I am the lawyer that was the student in these halls. And as I speak, you will realize what that statement means. I am the exact same lawyer as I was the student that sat in these classrooms. Let me start with two quotes. The first one, the purpose of life is not to be happy. Yeah, I say that. The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to live it and make it make a difference and make some sense. The second one is that I am convinced that the jealous, the angry, the bitter, and the egotistical are the first to race to the top of the mountains. A confident person enjoys the journey, the people they meet along the way, and sees life not as a competition. They reach the summit last because they know God isn't at the top waiting for them. He is down below helping his fellows up to understand that the view is glorious whenever you stand. So with those two quotes, we'll form the Karen, hope to make an impact in life. And that expectation, I want to tell you, it is indeed true, but true for those of them that abide by the two quotes that I have cited to you. I'll start the first statement this way in this address, that your first look into the legal profession has already appeared before you. And those are your lecturers. Those are the people you met when you got into this school. Those are the first people who are already practitioners and advocates, but they are teaching you. So you want to understand anything about the legal profession, that is your first port of call. And I'll give you an example that for me to get started into the legal profession, it took the hand of a lecturer here. My first internship position came by way of a former lecturer known as Dr. Daniel Konyango, is now a doctor, Konyango, who gave me an internship and said, you come sit here, you look like you have a lot of time in your hands, come sit here and see what you can do. No promise of money, no promise of anything. He didn't tell me I'm gonna pay you or anything like that. He said, sit here and see what you can do. I sat there, and for the first 2 months, it was quite depressing because I had to find my way to the office in town, and I couldn't go asking for transport. But then he noticed, and so he started sending me on a few trips, and that's how I started making money. For those of them who don't know, I took myself through this school and law school. And it was lecturers who showed their mercies on me that I could sit in the exam. I don't know if Professor Minga is here. I want to disclose something. I hope he's still on. I want to disclose something. I hope he does not come after me. He used to be very strict during his social foundations examination, particularly for those people who have not paid, finished their fees. But since I was such a good student for his classroom, during the exam, when the exam is about to start, people leave the classroom, and then you come with your exam card, you're checked in one by one. But because he trusted me and he really knew that, this is Alakonya, this is a good student, he did not check me. He just said, Alakonya, get in, you're wasting time, get in, get started. And that's how I managed to sit for that exam that allowed me to qualify to go to law school. And it's simply because of the student that I was that these people were taking their chances on me. At the tail end of my fourth year, Madam Faith joined this institution and was teaching us, and she had also started her small kiosk at VPAC Towers. And she said, I approached her and she was like, okay, I have no one to sit at that office. Though no two people could fit in that office. I have to say that. So it had to be one at a time. So we had to time each other, like, what time are you coming, so that then I go and sit in there. At that time, there wasn't much work, but we would go there and do a few things and check tenders and read newspapers and wait for someone to knock the door. And that is how then I got that opportunity that will later on lead me to do the first legal audit consultancy with the World Health Organization, where we were tasked to do and check devolved governance in terms of health and devolved health. And we prepared a very comprehensive presentation that I think then led to her now purely focusing on health law and health practice and going for her doctorate degree from that experience. I will later on also now advance and join her firm when they merged with the other partners at Soklo. And at Soklo, I was the secretary, the receptionist, the cook, the cleaner. I was anything you wanted me to be at that time. And it was a wonderful experience. But what am I telling you? I'm telling you that when you throw yourself out there, when you are that kind of a student that people can take chances on you, you just find that every single step keeps opening the next door and the next door. And how did I talk about lecturers? It's because after joining the Kenya School of Law, again in class, another lecturer notices my presentation, and she's like, are you working anywhere right now? I'm like, no, I'm not working. Like, okay, apply for this position at Rift Valley Railways. And I apply for the position, but God has a funny way of working. My interview, the person who communicated to me said, your interview is scheduled for 2 p.m., so please make sure you show up at 2 p.m. And because I'm such a diligent person, I don't like being late, I showed up 2 hours later. Anyway, I was earlier, I was doing nothing. So at 12, I was sitting at the reception waiting. What I didn't know is that the morning session we're doing interviews for legal officers. My interview was for the afternoon session for pupillage and interns. So I ended up being called in an interview for a legal officer. And when I walked into the interviewing room, there was the head of human resource and a few other and another legal officer, but the lecturer who had asked me to apply was not there. So I panicked a little. I was like, okay, my person is not here, so I'm done. Anyway, so I sit in, the interview starts, I'm answering, I'm like, every question they ask me, I'm like, this is a little bit too advanced, but I give an attempt. And now, when I was just about to finish the interview, the lecturer who had referred me walks in, and then she looks at me, she's like, what are you doing here, Zach? I'm like, interview? For example, I'm here for the interview. Like, no, yours is in the afternoon. This is for legal officers. The HR then remarks, he has actually done better than those who have interviewed. That's how I end up being hired as a legal officer instead of an intern. And again, it took the hand of a lecturer to take me there. Now, why do I say I'm the same student, I'm the same lawyer as I was as the student? How many of you, when you're given an assignment and the lecturer does not have prescriptions on how that assignment should be presented, how many of you go the extra mile? For instance, how many of you type your assignments? Unless it is a prescription that you must be typed. Is it a rule that all assignments must be typed? No, you can handwrite, yeah? Our time, it could be the way you want it to. If you could write it on this paper and black it out, the lecturer will take and mark it for you. But I was so diligent that every assignment was typed, footnoted, with a proper referencing, with proper paragraphs and everything. And they are here, both of them, as well as Madam Shaligenga. I see she's marking your papers here. They can attest to the work that I would give back. Yeah? It is the diligence that they kept seeing and they kept noticing, like, okay, this person goes the extra mile. I want to tell you today that the first thing you want to do to yourself is go the extra mile in creating your brand. Yeah? Your brand speaks for you before you could open your mouth. Your brand runs ahead before you arrive, and everyone knows who is coming, everyone knows who they are dealing with before you could actually handle. When someone gives you an assignment, they already know that this is a diligent, committed person who will deliver before you even touch that assignment. When Madam Faith trusted me with that audit, the World Health Organization audit, and we were running around counties, interviewing people in Mount Elgon, all the way there, she didn't have to keep checking like, oh, Zach, have you done this and everything? There was trust that this is going to be delivered. Yeah? When someone gives you something, do they believe that it's going to be delivered? Do you have actually even believe that you can deliver? Yeah? So you have to hone now. You have to curate those skills now. You have to prepare now. There will be no time. I always tell people in my office, those who come there, the few of them who have managed to work at Alakonya Law, I always tell you that the wearing of the wig and the admission and the being called to the role of advocates does not impart upon you new knowledge. It is the same knowledge that you acquired that shall make you the lawyer that you are. So if you are not any good before the wearing of that wig, you don't become any better thereafter. Yeah? So the kind of a lawyer that you are is now. You're making that lawyer now. Yeah? There is no miracle that happens thereafter to make you a good drafter, to make you a good researcher, to make you... No, it is all here. All that happens is to improve what you already acquired, is to perfect what you already have in store. Yeah? Because when you live here, there is no teaching. Yeah? When you live here, it is learning and doing on the job. Yeah? So I want you to start thinking of it now. As we talk about applying for pupillage and internship and getting opportunities in various organizations and positions, is money the driving factor or the need to understand what it is that you signed up for? Yeah? Do you understand what you signed up for to be a lawyer? Do you know what it takes to be a good one? Do you even understand what it takes to be even the best? Yeah? Because indeed, if the law degree gave you hope that you could drive any car you wanted, you could live anywhere you wanted, that is a reserve of the best. Because there are many. Today we have 23,000 lawyers registered in the country. We are admitting an average of 3,000 lawyers every year. There are many. Yeah? But a lot more of them are crowded at the bottom, yeah? Struggling at the lower food chains, receiving breadcrumbs that come from the people who cut the cake, who wield the knife. Yeah? So I want you to define your mindset today. And as you position, remember this, the old cliches of life are true. And what are these old cliches of life? Hard work, consistency, commitment, dedication. Those remain true. They will remain true no matter what AI we start dealing with. Yeah? They will remain true. Even, what is this AI that predicts, can write for your demand letter? ChatGPT, even those ones, no matter how you have to input the correct sequences, the correct command. For you to understand the correct sequence and the correct command, you must know what is it that you want. Yeah? And knowing requires you to work hard at learning, at finding out, at researching, at connecting, at networking. Always showing up. And those for you who have shown up, kudos to you. Keep showing up. Yeah? There is a talk somewhere, show up. A lecturer wants an extra class, show up. Yeah? A lecturer wants your holiday, show up. Yeah? Because it's only when you show up that you become the best. Yeah? It is not half, particularly today, there is extensive competition. There is excessive competition in the provision of legal services. Yeah? Yes, the market is widening, and so are the numbers growing. Yeah? They say there are new areas of practice. Yes, there are, a lot of them. Yeah? Data protection, AI, name them. There are a lot of emerging areas, but so are the numbers growing. Yeah? So are you going to be a statistic where people just say, oh, well, in Kenya, we now currently have 25,000 lawyers, and you're just lost in that 25? Or will you walk in a room and someone says, yeah, okay, there's an expert here in this area, maybe we can hear what they have to say. Yeah? So, ladies and gentlemen, mine to you is this. Yeah? No miracle happens thereafter. The miracle is happening right now, in this place that you are in. You're honing your skills, you're preparing now, you're sharpening your tools, you're branding now, you're positioning now. You are the exact same lawyer as you are a student. You will be the exact same person, only with added experience. Actually, they said, fools also grow old. Yeah? That's saying where they say that old people are wise, but someone remarked, well, fools also grow old. Yeah? But today, as I wind up, there are a lot of advantages and tools that have been thrown on our way that can help us just get that extra competitive advantage. We have the benefit of knowledge at our fingertips. Yeah? We have the benefit of platforms If I asked you to open your LinkedIn platform, most of you, your profiles are no more than 50% done. Yani, where you're told, sit down and create a profile for yourself, define yourself, you cannot even do 100% of that. Check your LinkedIn profile. That's the most professional social media platform for everyone. Yeah? And I'll tell you from an employer's perspective, everyone who applies to the company, to the law firm, the first thing I do is I go to your LinkedIn. Okay? I go to your LinkedIn. Forget all these other wannabe social media platforms where we project what is not really the reality, you know. LinkedIn, I go there because I want to know what is it that you have curated yourself to be as a professional. Yeah? I want to check what is your work experience. Have you posted it? I want to see what comments are you commenting on current issues that are being posted on that platform. I want to see if you're engaging, if you're growing even you. What are you interested in? Yeah? Because that's what LinkedIn tells you, market yourself professionally. So there's no more positioning give you. LinkedIn is the CV that was for the 1990s and early 2000s. Yeah? We don't pay attention to the written documents. Yes, write them well, please. So just because I'm saying we don't pay attention to them doesn't mean write them well and let them speak for you as well. Yeah? But truly, we go to what you're putting there. But even more than that and outside of LinkedIn, I have seen, how many of you are on TikTok? No, it's not, I'm not going to ask you to show us what you're posting. Just say, are on TikTok or have come across TikTok. Well, let me put it. Anyone? Don't be shy. We all are. I'm also on TikTok. I don't post though, yeah? So, but what are you doing with that TikTok? Now, let me tell you about the TikTok algorithm, yeah? And a distinction between TikTok algorithm in Kenya, or rather the rest of Africa, and China, yeah? And how it has been curated that all content you're ever consuming on that media platform, if you are in the southern hemisphere of this world, you are consuming people dancing and people doing all manner of things. You will never find educational things. People who are posting educational things are having the lowest impressions and the lowest interactions, right? But I have seen lawyers going there, breaking down content, storytelling, easily, very nicely, and going out there. It's not always you must write 95-page opinions. We can break down a lease agreement and say, advise people. And like that, you continue to enhance your own knowledge because you know that you can only pass that which you know. Yeah? So we have tools. You have the ability to research so fast without even stepping a foot in this library. Yeah? We have the ability to get and gather so much information at a microsecond that we should not be suffering with the idea that we lack in knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, I am convinced that the jealous, the angry, the bitter, and the egotistical are the first to rise to the top of mountains. A confident person enjoys the journey, the people they meet along the way, and sees life not as a competition. They reach the summit last because they know God isn't at the top waiting for them. He is with them in the journey, and the best views are where you are. Okay? You could be at the top of the mountain, you don't know it. You're still trying to go up. So I want to tell you, the old cliches of life remain true. You're curating your brand right now. What is it? It is up to you to decide. And with that, I want to stop there. Thank you so much. I will remain for questions later. Asanteni sana.
Audience, our speaker from Belgium has joined us online, but they're saying they cannot hear us. So perhaps you can work with us see what's the issue. Us we can hear. Ali? Hello? Hello, Ali? Hello, Ali? Can you hear me? Hello? Ask her just if she can hear us. She cannot, she seems not to hear us.
But I'm hearing you, Madam Faith. Possibly she's the one who is not hearing us.
All right.
I'm hearing
All
you.
right.
On this side, I'm sure you are online.
Hello, Dr. Ali, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, she can hear us, but I don't know if we can hear her. Can we hear her in the room?
Yes,
I've
I can
heard
hear
her.
you.
I've heard her voice. She has actually
Hello.
spoken. I've heard her.
All right, Ali, we can hear you online, so let's try and see if we can hear you in the live audience. Then we will have
Yeah.
to introduce you shortly. All right.
Great. Thank you.
Damaris, please speak and tell us if she can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear this? Can you hear the speaker?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, let me pause mine first. Okay, you speak. Hello, just say hello, hello. Continue talking. Hello. Until she can hear you.
Hello.
Okay, so that was an interactive session.
Just a moment to see if she can hear us. Maybe you can also put. Dr. Anne, maybe speak, then she can confirm she can hear. Sorry, Damaris, just confirm she can hear us. We are not able to continue until we hear her. So keep on talking.
All the way from Belgium.
Thank you for this introduction. I heard the last part. Can you hear me now?
Hello, Dr. Ali, can you hear me?
Now I can, yes. Yeah.
She can hear. Okay, so we have had a very active session with Mr. Zakayo as he has been able to talk about positioning and branding yourself. So our next speaker is going to be Dr. Ali, all the way from Belgium. She's going to join us online. And Dr. Ali is a research fellow, an author in business and human rights, a research in Africa and Korea, and a coordinator of women's rights at Leiden University. So, Dr. Ali, you can start your presentation now if you can hear us.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Should I put myself on the big screen? How does it
Okay.
work?
Okay, so
Can I start?
Somebody, Shalom, please wave and say yes, because you're the one who's being seen. Okay, the screen is gone. Please say, wave for her, yes.
I can start? Okay, hello everyone.
Maybe we can wave from the crowd.
Should I be on the big screen or not? Because I can. Okay, so great. So indeed, I am in human rights, working in law, but previously I worked in journalism. I also worked for a multinational company. And I'm going to talk from a European perspective, and I hope I can contribute a bit in that sense. So if you have any questions about studying in Europe, I want to try and help and give some tips and tricks. And I mainly base myself on my own experiences. So I have 5 main tips, and then I will briefly talk about doing master's degrees or doing summer schools or other education. Then for anyone who's interested in doing a PhD, I will give also some tips. So that's that. For the 5 general tips, the first thing in my education was not really, we learned a lot about law. I know for you it's different because you have these sessions already. But so I had no idea when I came out of law school how to write my CV, how to write a cover letter. So the main tip I have for that is to learn that too. And there's so many online resources about how to write a cover letter, how to make it accessible. There are so many templates. Also, if you just use ChatGPT, you ask for like a standard cover letter, you get inspiration for how it should be done. So don't make that first hurdle to get into anything like too difficult, like perfect it for yourself. The second thing is it's a numbers game. So try a lot. I apply for many, many things and on some work out, but that's enough. You only always need one thing to work out. And what is good is if you know it's a numbers game, you have to look in places for opportunities where other people do not look. So what does that mean? When you get out of law school, where I'm from in Belgium, in Brussels, everyone looks on these EU websites for jobs, but the chances you get it for 1 out of 1,000 people who are applying are really small. So what you should do is look directly on the places that are interesting. So instead of going to UNICEF International, I went to UNICEF Belgium. They also post vacancies on their website that are nowhere else. So if you apply there, you get an interview because there are only 10 other applicants. So that just makes it easier. And to do that, what really helps me is Page Monitor. It's a tool in Google, in Chrome. And so for the websites I want to follow, I put a mark and I get like a ping when there's an update on the website. So also for my job, I worked at the business school in Belgium of the University of Leuven. They really want to advertise to students to come and study with them. So they don't advertise their jobs, but the jobs are on that page. So my first job in research, I found on that page. I think there were 10 other applicants, but again, it's very different to apply against 10 other people than against 1,000 other people. So it's managing your time too and looking for these opportunities. So that's the second tip. The third one is always like be super resilient and go out of your way. So when I was in law school in my master's, I had an internship. Where I could do it, never had an intern, but why not? We want someone who helps us for free, why not? So really take it in yourself, in your own hands. Never know what happens on the other side. Like one, and somebody next to me said, a lawyer, oh, it's really hard to do a master's in your business school. I have a friend, she's the smartest girl in our college degree, and she didn't get in. And I knew that was not true. What was true was we had 50 seats. The business school also needs to make money. The 50 seats were already handed out. Like we had 50 applications, they all get a yes. This girl applied in the second cycle. So there were no more spaces. So they said, oh, you rejected, your CV was not good enough, but it's not what really happened behind the scenes. What happened behind the scenes is We already have these 50 candidates, it's like that. But so this girl had this impression, like, I'm not good enough, maybe it's me, or certainly it's me, but often it's not true. Or often you don't know what happens on the other side. So to make sure that you don't have to suffer these things, apply a lot. And many chances, as I said, try to go for the high numbers, but also it has to be useful. So look in the places where there's not so much competition. And then, yeah, I will get back to that, the being proactive, all the things you can do for yourself to make your chances bigger. So now I will go to the master's degrees, summer schools, postgraduate degrees, these things in Europe. What I find very important, I studied with Faith Simeo in Cardiff in the UK, but I live in continental Europe and I now work also in the Netherlands. Think about, it's difficult to know, but I will explain you the context of these countries. So you have to know the UK is great, I think, as a Kenyan person also to go to, because English is the main language. So it's easier to integrate. On the other hand, the UK is a commercial system more, like education is expensive, you can find these things online. In Germany, education is almost free. So you have to think about these contexts, like where are the opportunities for me? Do I just want to do one master's degree of 1 year? Do I have money? Like, for example, at some universities, you can also pay yourself to do a PhD. Do I want to do that? Do I do not have money? Do I want to stay in Europe maybe? Then you have to know that the Netherlands and also the UK, these are countries where there are a lot of jobs. If you go to Spain, there are not so many jobs. So if you have any question about any specific country, you can always email me. I can help you with that. So because you really have to think about the context of the culture of the country. Like in Germany, it's not normal to pay for education. In the UK, it is. But then in Germany, you have to speak German and there are not many jobs. So all these things, you have to really think what you want out of it. That is very important, I think. And also think out of the box then. If you know to which country you want to go, to think, do I need a master's degree in law? Do I want to be a lawyer? Or do I maybe also want to do research in law? But to do that, you don't need a master's degree in law. Like you can say, oh, I go to a business school, or I go to do an extra sociology degree, psychology. Because if you do many different things, like a different master's, for example, you get original ideas to do your research, to find other things, other inputs. And so you also have to know that many of these extra master programs, master after master programs, many of them have scholarships available if you don't have the money or the willingness to do it, to pay for it. You say, oh no, I want to invest in something else if I have money. Or you say, yes, for me, it's worth it. So you really have to think about what are your own goals, what do you want to do with it. So if you go to another degree, you have to know these degrees are not so difficult, because I didn't like it when I studied. I was like, oh, if you do a master's and it's so difficult, and you will, if you look it up, many people in many of these degrees, everyone passes. So also don't be too afraid about it. I had friends back in school, they wanted to do an extra master in the UK, and they were like, oh, I got in all 5 schools, I applied. And of course, I was great, because from our perspective, in Belgium, the master's is not so easy, but it's like Dutch language, so it's not so relevant. From our perspective, it was like, wow, it's great, you get in everywhere. But now I know the other side. It's also like they need the revenue, they need the students to keep on going. So don't be too afraid about how they sell it and how it's difficult, because often it's not. It's again this, you don't know what happens on the inside, but this you can prepare, because it's known. Like if you go to Italy to the business school, Bocconi in Milan, everyone passes. You know, these things are known. And it's good, so you have to say for yourself, is it worth this investment? Because it's a great investment if you have a degree from these schools. Always think then on the return on investment. Like in some countries, master's is 2, and in other countries, the master's is 1 year. And it's the same degree, you just have to put twice as much time in it. And you have to think your life is short, so it's not really useful. If you can do a journalist degree, if you need it, like I did it in evening classes because I knew I could work with it then. So I didn't have to do a whole year only journalism. Like you really have to think about which extra things do I want, do I need, and then you also have to think about what's the easiest way to get there, I think. Then if you arrive there, if you get there, you owe it to yourself like to work then hard enough, because many of these students, they're like, I have students in the Netherlands, and then they say, oh, it's 4 hours a day, it's enough, blah, blah, blah. But if you are all the way there and you do it and put in all this effort all the time, and in the end you have the great results. Also think about places where they are receptive. For example, in Antwerp, in Belgium, you have the Law and Development Network, and they have some researchers already from Kenya, so they are busy with these things. And there are other, like in Bonn, in Germany, there's a network for African scholars, and so the people in charge there really care, and they want you, they want people to reach out. Like the school in Antwerp, they also have a short-term program of 3 weeks to get students ready. And these are the places where they want you, they are looking for you. So then you can find all these things online. This is always a good way in, and you know that people are receptive, because some are not. Okay, we do the questions in the end. So I'll now continue to PhD, but also for people who don't want to do a PhD, it is just useful, like for other insights, I think. So the one thing I want to say is it's a big misconception that you need to start a PhD to do research. What I mean is you don't need the position already to start doing what you want to do. So the tip is here, start early. What do you need if you are an academic? You need to do talks, you need to write articles. You can start doing these things now. You don't need to wait for that. And if you start doing them now, you put them on your CV, and the people hiring will say, oh, they already have done these things. They're very motivated, they're very proactive. These are the people we need. So if you look online, there are many postgraduate fora, and so it's both for master students and PhD students. You can submit an abstract. It's just 400 words, and you can give an online talk. Well, that's great. That's an opportunity you need. So you can, again, just take a Google alert for conferences like that, where you can present online. And if you have this experience, even if you don't go on and do a PhD, if you do another job as a lawyer or anything, you still have these talks on your CV. So it's always good to just build your all-round skill set. So what do we have? These talks I gave as an example, but also writing for small websites. Of course, you won't write a paper of 4,000 words tomorrow. It's difficult, you need to learn it. So indeed, in the process, you will learn it. But starting with 800 words, that sounds more achievable. And there are many, many websites. On my website, you will see short publications or analysis. There are so many short blog outlet places that really want you to write for them because they cannot fill their websites. One of them is, for example, the Oxford Human Rights Hub. It sounds far away, but it's not. They're always looking for contributions, and they have a very big team of editors, so they really help you. And also with the feedback that you get, you can start learning these writing skills. So you just do your own education. PhD is a long time, and maybe you think, no, I could better invest my time in another way. I want to do other things with my life. So it's always nice to do. It's nice to start. You don't need the degree. Also, in many, as I said, in some in the UK, you can also pay for your degree. And I thought, oh, I need to have a position to then start, and then after 4 years or so long, I can submit. But in fact, if you have some time, if you have a very and you have time to write on yourself, That's also nice to already start. Like many of this knowledge is just online, and it's mainly a bit of tweaking and a bit of getting feedback, but that you can also get from writing for these short blogs. That's another tip. I say now blogs because it's like a short post, but you will see on my website there's mainly only 1 or 2 places that I publish that are a blog. Always go for things that sound great. Like go for the International Journal of blah, blah, blah online. Like go for things that make a serious impression, and don't give your writing, because you put the time in there, in a random thing that says, oh, we are the justice blog, like from a random network. No, aim high, aim for these big names that will also sell well on your CV. And really, there are many of them. Then for the writing to improve it, I really recommend the book, The Craft of Research, by Wayne Booth and George Collomb. It's also on my website under the page resources. I think if you just type in a name on Google and then PDF, you get a free copy. Because I learned actually everything from writing. Also, what I said, the misconceptions, I didn't learn it from my supervisor. They were not explaining me, you have to do research like this or that. No, you read a book, you learn for yourself, you figure it out. How can I write an article? And this you can all do in self-study. And then when you have built your CV a bit, you apply for the PhD positions. And you get much chances because you show, I can do this, I master this. What else? You have a big, I think, advantage indeed from if you live in Kenya. To already, like in my PhD, I went to Kenya with the help of Faith to do research in the floriculture industry. But for this research, I also looked at many master theses in Kenya, also from your university. And there were some really good theses. They did already 15 interviews with farm managers about what are the working conditions here, how are the relations between trade unions and NGOs. And just all these data you can already collect. You can also collect them, for example, think about doing a PhD with them, but already have all the information ready, like all the interviews, all the things you can do on your own. You don't need to, again, you don't need a position for that. And if you are in Kenya now, maybe before you move abroad, you can already start collecting data and think about practical things that you can use in your PhD. So it's not only your own data, you can go and help other people if you have time, of course, because if you don't, you cannot do it. But if you have time to do some small research assistant tasks for them. And then again, that means being proactive and doing it, going out of your way to do these things. Then start small. If you want to apply for a grant, you can say right away, I want to go for a PhD grant or a master's study grant. But you will see, for example, journalismfund.eu, Europe, they give like small grants of €1,000, which is still a lot of money. Actually, they paid my research in Kenya. So then you have to write an article for a popular newspaper. But also this you can learn, you can apply. You can see in the reports online, the success rate is 40%, which is quite high. So you can already think like, these things, I can write on this in Kenya. I am here, and you can just, with this grant from a small European organization that funds journalists, find your own resources to do funds, and on these data you can already use again for your PhD proposal. But this also counts, of course, for a master's proposal. Then, if you start writing the proposal, think, because of all these things, like what you can do yourself, you have to say, why me? There are many good proposals, but the best ones are the ones that really suit the researcher. So maybe at home you have a certain kind of company. Maybe at home all your family are health workers. This is you have unique insights that you have to think a random researcher from Belgium cannot have, doesn't have the access, doesn't have this experience. So from your network, from the world you live in, you can find the original ideas, because it's always important to say in a proposal, why me? And also, why now? Why is it important now? What are you contributing that is special to stand out? I can give you some examples of things that are not researched. Corporate violence against women, for example, is not researched. There's a huge gap in the literature. We don't know how corporations violate the rights of women, apart from, of course, sexual harassment we know. We also know, like, really rape in conflicts and all that. But, like, small violence, we don't know anything about. So that's what I wanted to say with this, is if you talk with people in the field, I know many things that have not been researched, but I don't have time to do everything myself, and I won't do everything myself. Everyone has to pick. But if you have these conversations, people can also point you towards where the gaps are, what needs to be found out. Another thing is, of course, Chinese corporations in Kenya. There are some documentaries on that, but there's not really in-depth research on that topic. So, of course, now I say these proposals, but as I said before, think about your own living world, what is there, what can be researched, what doesn't exist yet. Then study example proposals. If you want, you can email me, I can give you some. But also online, there are many proposals, just like what should be in there, objectives should be in there, methodology should be in there. How do you write legal methodology? Read a book on it, and you know how to write it. So really use the resources you have. And then for grants, often, or you apply at an institution, and in continental Europe, often you don't need to write your own proposal. You apply on a grant of somebody else, and you get a small job on there. So what's important, you have to think about this, where you want to move. Do I want to do that? Do I want to be involved in somebody else's project? Still, it's important to have these small publications, to have these small talks, because I will show up and I will do the job. But you do what somebody else has set out, and you're part of a big team. That can be your thing, and then you apply for these jobs directly. Just also know PhD jobs in continental Europe are paid. So then again, try for many. Look at websites of small universities where not many people apply. I know at the Uni of Antwerp, sometimes only 3 people apply. Well, these are quite big chances then to get a PhD. Of course, if you apply at the big uni, they have 200 people applying, the chances are smaller, but you can also try. So think really, where can I get these advantages? With your own proposal, that's often in the UK, but also in continental Europe, but then you have to go to a separate funding body. And so you have to look for the funding body, but you also have to look for a supervisor in a university, and you have to bring the two together. So it's more work, more management. You have to write your own proposal, but of course then you can clearly say like, oh, but I will achieve this, I will show this. Maybe for 1 year you have already been doing small pieces in your own time, so you really need the time to develop these ideas. And then you apply for a grant, and you have the support of a supervisor. Again, there you just email many people like, oh, do you want to supervise me? Da, da, da. I want to apply to an external grant, so you don't have to worry about me. We just try external. But of course, again, numbers game, you can try in many countries. You can apply with the same proposal in the UK, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands. You can just send them everywhere, and if you have 1 out of 5, yeah, you have your grant and you can start. So don't put all your hope in one thing, but try in many, many places. Then another thing is more practical. A PhD in law, it's nice to have a thesis, of course, because you get a great book. But as many will tell you, it's a lot of work. It's also what I did, but it's a lot of work. Think about this. In some countries, they want people just to write 3 articles. It's only 1/3 as much work as a full thesis, but you get the same degree. Again, think about these things if you think this is more achievable for you. And in some countries, it's like that. They really encourage, because they don't want people to be PhD students forever, to just write a few articles, and then it's fine for them. So really think about these things, that what fits in your schedule, what you want to get out of it. Of course, you can say, but I want a book. I want to be this very serious scholar, and that's good. Then the PhD is the perfect time to really have that time to focus on that and go for it. So again, always research at all the options and don't think too much like, oh, this is how it is. Yeah, I think that's it for now. I will, because now I've been talking for so long, I'm like, are they still following, or what are the more specific questions? So I will just wait for the question round.
causing the transfer of this particular prosecutor. And I would like to hear your comments on that. And the next thing, as for now, are you a full-time advocate, or there are other activities that you engage in? And another thing, at what specific time in the legal, after the time that you take in practicing law, at what time do you end up deciding that at this time I would like to be on my own to start specifically starting a law firm, and how do you get to market it so that you get to get more clients and developing your law firm? And another question about the period you take between time you graduate from the university and going to the Kenya School of Law. Let's say, for example, someone who, after concluding on the bachelor's degree in the university, gets a job, then later on joins the Kenya School of Law. Does it have, can such a person suffer some challenges in the Kenya School of Law? Thank you.
Any other question?
I have one question. It was quite fast, but I think it was mentioned you worked for Abnos Software. My question is, what kind of, because the IT industry is continually evolving, what kind of credentials make you attractive for such a client? Do you need to adapt like the software engineers, or are there certain courses that are legally recognized?
Thank you. Any other question? Kindly raise.
So like the university that you got in, that you're able to do your master's in, like can you give us like a detail on how you were able to get into that university? Yeah, that's all.
Yes.
My question to you is, as an employee in your own law firm, nowadays we have this, they're not law students, but they are getting the jobs that we as a law students should get. Like most law firms, if you go to, they're hiring people just out of high school, because it's basically drafting. People can be taught to draft. So when, as we, the legal students, coming in to apply for those same jobs, we are told there's no space for you, try another time, try in this law firm, do this, do that, get mediation certificates, become a mediator. We do all of that. But when we come to those same law firms, they tell us that opportunity has been given to somebody else, somebody younger, not specifically under the law profession. So you as an employer in your own law firm, what do you see about that? Taking people, we are not saying deny them, because it is your law firm, you do as you want, but how can you encourage us as legal students, so we don't get discouraged? We are going to those law firms, we're even volunteering to do it for free, you don't have to pay us, but you are choosing to choose people doing other courses, leaving us just out there to hang. So what can you encourage us? Thank you.
Any other question?
Good afternoon. My name is Ivy Kamau. My question also is in the workplace. I finished school last year, December, and I'm currently working. And I'm trying to find it so hard to navigate in the legal field as a female student. Let me put it that way. There's so much challenges. Okay, maybe the male student also go through it, but I'm speaking from a personal view where you meet your seniors are demanding extra. It's not work-based, it's not, and they put the threat of if you don't do whatever they request from you, you're going to lose your job. Also, a friend of mine has had a case where she has been forced to forge some documents on behalf of her employer. And she's so much trouble because she doesn't know how to deal with it because it's her name on the line and everything that's going on. And at the same time, she's at the risk of losing her job. Like, how do we maintain the ethics? As much as we want to practice and get the experience, how do we do it in a just way, an honest way?
Thank you. Any other question?
Okay, maybe to ask one final question. When you're doing litigation, when you go to court, your aim, is it winning the case or is it justice?
Any person with another question, if it's...
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kamara Castro. My question, the advancement of technology, how are law firms complying with the advancement in technology? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, so I would like to invite Mr. Zakayo to come and address the questions.
All right, thank you for those very interesting questions. I will do my level best to answer each one of them to the best of my ability and also share experiences where possible. So I'll start with Isaac Omondi's questions. There are a total of 5, touching on integrity, the ability to diversify practice, when to start a law firm and how to market the same, whether or not working when joining the Kenya School of Law has any implications, and finally the aim of litigation, whether it is to win or to find justice. So let me start with the first question, integrity. First, if you can, since you are in first year, and if this person you are talking to is not related to you, my first advice to you is dissociate yourself from that person because they are not teaching you the right things about practice. That is not the mentor that you want. That is not how practice is done. And those people can only ever lead you in one way, the wrong direction. Yeah. So I will tell you that those incidents are there. Lawyers are not angels. They are human beings, you and me here. And judges don't go to heaven in the evening and come back in the morning to hear cases. They live and exist amongst yourselves. The choice as to what kind of an advocate you are is exactly the same as the choice as to the kind of a human being that you are. So that if you are a thief, you don't become any other type of advocate. You'll still be a thieving advocate. And there will be avenues for you to do that, a lot of them. But if you are an honest person, you still become an honest advocate, okay? So the choice of being an ethical practitioner, and which goes to my sister's question on which is also dealing with ethical practice and integrity, and questions on sexual exploitation and harassment, and things such as being forced to forge documents. All those are telltale signs of very rotten apples within the legal profession. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, you are going or you are likely to meet these people. There is no shielding you from those people. Yeah? And most of the times we don't know who they are until you experience them. Yeah? First impressions always are that, oh, maybe this is a good person, they are making good money or whatever, they have nice offices. But then you get there and you realize you start seeing the other side. And we cannot tell it to you any different. These things are there within the profession, particularly the situation on sexual exploitation and sexual harassment is a really, really bad, one of the worst things that the profession has had to grapple with. Of course, there are certain avenues that have been created and being created with the Law Society of Kenya in terms of ability to complain and raise complaints and how you can report such incidences. And if, particularly for your friend, you can reach out and we can see how to help this person. One of our partners at the law firm is the current vice president of the Law Society of Kenya, and we can see how to help that particular. I imagine that your friend is just a young lawyer, new in the profession, and they are being manipulated by seniors to destroy their lives. So there are avenues to handle these things, and we can exchange contacts and we see how we can help. But what I can tell to the rest of you is that these people do exist in the profession. When you meet them, guard yourself and guard your practice and stand your ground, walk out if you must. You will not die hungry. And if you do, you'll not be the first one, unfortunately. But do not compromise your morals, do not compromise your integrity, do not compromise their jobs. Please be patient. Yeah? Lose that job if you must, but don't lose yourself because you want to keep that job. Okay? So for me, that's what I will tell you. There are these rotten apples within the profession. When you see them, that's the time you make a choice about who you are and who you want to be and the kind of a lawyer that you want to be. But I can tell you this, you will not die hungry. If you leave that job, you will always find ways. God does always open doors. So don't lose yourself because you want to keep a job. Whether or not I'm a full-time advocate, yes, once an advocate, always an advocate. But yes, I do this. Talk to people. I come here and do mentorship. I'm not yet at a teaching level. I hope one day I'll take that up. But I think it's always good to diversify, to find ways of doing more, and because it's also fulfilling. Yeah? But it also depends at what stage that you are. Yeah? When you're joining the profession, my advice would be, please stick to the profession. Learn as much as you can. Focus on it. It comes to a point when you have gotten a sense of understanding about the field that then you can start diversifying. Even the good book says that a divided man is a dangerous man. Yeah? So, or an undecided person is a dangerous person. So for me, when you're joining, the critical thing is focus. Focus, focus, focus. Because the point, sometimes you find people trying to do a lot of things. They have shops at Mudurwa. They are actresses during the day. At night, they go and do other things. What is happening? Well, that could be good, but you are losing out on something. You're not 100% at anything. Yeah? You need to be 100% at something, so that then you can say, I know this thing so well and it's working out, then I can also try this other thing. So what is it that you are 100% at before you diversify? That's the question to answer. When to start a law firm, so I'll tackle that first before going to marketing. So when to start a law firm, please, I beg you, don't start your law firm after leaving Kenya School of Law. I know there is that freedom. Yeah, I know there is that temptation that you leave that School of Law and you open your kiosk somewhere. Yeah, that is one of the things that are really, really hurting the profession. The legal profession is really, really about learning under someone and understanding the practice. When you study the history of that before, the apprenticeship really was about going under somebody's wing and knowing how they're doing these things. There are a lot of nuances in practice that will not be taught in any class. Just because you know how to draft, it doesn't mean you know how to really draft a court pleading. Yeah? Just because you know or have a few clients that your father has given you, or you had a rich uncle and you're inheriting their law firm, it doesn't mean that you really understand the nuances of practice. There are a lot of moving parts in practice. There are a lot of moving things that work so well to make a practice work. Yeah, you'll meet the four of you and you'll be like, okay, you have money, I have money, we can start. You have your 2 clients, I have my 3, I think this is good, you know, and you start. And we have seen a lot of damage done to people's lives. This is what I tell my people at the office. To you, it might be a file that you're looking at, but to someone else, that's their life. Yeah, and until you're able to comprehend what that means, you're not ready to start the law firm. Yeah, so learn under somebody. Find someone good who will mentor you, who will take you to client meetings, who will take you to be able to understand abilities to negotiate. My sister, you're worried about lawyers coming on to you. You've not met clients who are coming on to you and they are holding on until you accept. That's when they give you the file. No, how will you navigate that situation? How do you negotiate your way without sounding rude or not losing the business? Yeah? You work under somebody who is willing to teach you and to educate you and to take you to these meetings and to leave you, throw you in the deep end, handling. But of course, you know, when you're under someone and they throw in the deep end, trust me, even if you drown, you'll still be fine because they'll be able to rescue you. But imagine drowning when you're alone, yeah? And you wake up in the morning, KRA has come at your door, a lot of other things you've forgotten, you had a matter somewhere, you know, because you don't know how these things are. So for me, mine will be, take as much time as you need to learn. Be patient. Again, that's the name of this game. Be patient, yeah? Be patient to understand how they work. Be patient to know how clients come in, client management and client care, professional indemnity consequences that come with it. You need to be able to appreciate taxation questions that come with running a business. You need to be able to appreciate if you are to hire somebody, what are the employment consequences that you have, pay, NHIF, all those things. You need to learn the world of business. Just because you know the law, it doesn't mean you know the business. That's a whole different animal. So you must be able to appreciate that. Learn 3, 4, 5 years. If you can, 8 years. You'll be good. You'll have gotten a good understanding of how that platform works. I was lucky I started with the law firm very early because through the exposure of people like Madam Faith, who now are throwing me in there, and I would go out there and understood client acquisition and understood bidding and understood tendering and understood all those things that now opened my mind into the legal business, as it were. About marketing, marketing is a brand positioning, is brand placement, is understanding your brand, understanding your skill sets and marrying the two and telling people that I am able to meet you at this point. Yeah? Just because you're a lawyer, it doesn't mean that every other person you meet out there understands what you can do for them. That is one. But telling them that you're a lawyer is not enough. Yeah? Well, they know so many lawyers. Right now, there are so many of us out here. What makes you stand out is, first of all, an entity, but then secondly, is the individual competencies within the firm that now come together to deliver a service. So there are those things that you have to package well. Remember, there are rules against advertising and marketing that limit how much a law firm can be marketed. So you must be creative and you must be clever. One rule you must understand about law firm marketing is that law firm or legal services are services, professional services at that. What you're ever selling is competence. How do you demonstrate competence? How do you demonstrate competence in company law? How do you demonstrate competence in succession? How do you demonstrate competence in immigration? How do you demonstrate competence in data protection? So it's really about that. If you're able to demonstrate that we are competent, we understand these spaces, then you start to attract people. And you can speak about your competence without saying that I have 3 degrees and 5 masters and whatever, but you can talk about the subject. So it is very a fine balance when it comes to marketing a law firm and when it comes to marketing your business. But there are tools and channels, social media, digital placement, search engine optimization consequences. For instance, if you go to Google and search constructive dismissal, yeah, for instance, just a simple search, you will always realize that there are certain law firms that come when they did a piece on constructive dismissal. It's not by chance. They have done what we call search engine optimization, which picks out keywords that people search. For instance, if you to search the best law firm in Kenya, then you see a number of law firms have reached. So there's a complexity that comes to that you must also appreciate when marketing. But these are things that come. That's why I say learn under somebody, work under somebody. I don't know, Brenda has I never met her there. I don't know if I was a bad boss because she never comes whenever I'm invited to these things. I think we need to find out that. But she worked with me at the farm, and maybe she'll be able to share with you the experience of what we go through when we're actually curating content, because that is an actual task at the farm. So everybody in that office must curate content for the platforms, and you create them under your name, okay? So what is that content that you're willing your name to be behind? So that is how we work, and we sit, discuss, brainstorm, and come up with areas that people want to understand. The other thing is, who are you speaking to? You must appreciate that 97% of the work of lawyers come from lawyers. Okay? I'll let that sink in first. 97% of the work of lawyers come from lawyers. Okay? It doesn't come from non-lawyers. It's only another lawyer who will know that so-and-so is good in this space. Yeah? So understanding the market dynamics is important. Joining the Kenya School of Law while working, Kenya School of Law program is a heavy one. Yeah? But a number of people try themselves, but it's also structured in a manner that allows you to have a morning or an afternoon session. So if you have an employer who allows you to experience the practice itself as you learn it, that will really be good. But you must prepare to put in hours because the program itself is a heavy one. But then your employer, the few hours you'll be giving them of half a day, will also be demanding and expecting you to deliver. So there are consequences to every decision. The critical question is, are you prepared to pay or to meet the price of those consequences, right? So if you join the Kenya School of Law and decide to work, make no mistake, you have an extra job at your hand, that of meeting the competing demands. So will I advise for it? Yes and no. Yes for those who are able, no for those who cannot. Yeah? So if you think you're able to navigate both of them without losing any other side, then go for it. But if you're not, please focus on the Kenya School of Law, pass that program, and get started on working. Whether the aim of litigation is justice or success depends on a case-to-case basis. Yeah? And strategic litigation comes in. There are various concepts that underline litigation. Litigation is not the dramatic things that we normally see on our television series or Vioja Mahakamani, if you have watched it. Every client comes to you with a desired outcome. Yeah? So a win can always be qualified. What amounts to a win can always be qualified. Yeah? I have come to accept that any successfully litigated matter in this country will take a minimum of 3 years. And to some clients, that is a win. They just needed time, yeah, to sort out their things. So that is a win. Whether or not they lose was already a foregone conclusion. Yeah? So sometimes people use litigation for different reasons. What litigation requires justice also qualifies. Corporate commercial litigation may or may not really be in pursuit of justice. Yeah? Corporate commercial litigation is business litigation. What is just in that business is the interpretation of the terms of that contract. Courts work to enforce those contracts. So whether or not the provisions of those contracts were just is a totally different question altogether. As long as you signed up to them, that is it. And that's why you see people who take up mortgages and they have crazy mortgage rate terms and interest rates, and they end up within 10 years of that mortgage contract paying double the price that they even thought would pay in interest alone, not even principal, will not go to court and say that this provision is unjust because it is. No. The court normally says, Justice Majanja will tell you, but you signed. Were you blind at the time of signing? Yeah? But constitutional law, on the other hand, and public interest litigation will have totally different aims to speak of, to pursue. So that if you're pursuing for the rights of people who are being displaced on the lands they owned, there is a justiciable argument in that particular pursuit. And therefore, then you could be going for that because it is just that those people remain on that land. Yeah? So different angles of law will determine whether or not you're pursuing justice or success. But in most cases, for lawyers such as ourselves, a paid fee note is a sufficient outcome in any case that you are litigating. Yes, yeah. So a fee note is what we raise and bill for our clients. So whether or not you'll be successful at the end of the day, so long as you have paid us our fees, we shall be happy. We will tell you we are very sorry. We put in our best effort. But that court, there's a question mark. Yeah. So that's it. So Derek asked about working for Abno Softwares. This was a complete tangent in my career, diversion completely. On another day, I will tell you the story that led me there. But it is a consequence of serving a client well. And one of my efforts, in my efforts to begin my practice, I had a partnership that fell apart. And in falling apart, I lost so much money. And at that point, I was disillusioned about legal practice. And in that disillusion, I thought, well, this thing can sit. So this client kept looking for me and was like, we need you to come and do this and do that and do that. So through that, then they were like, okay, do this. As you figure out your legal issues, you are a good manager, you are a good leader, I need someone to take charge. So that's how I moved in from in terms of a strategic positioning as a director of operations, and was managing the Kenyan, Indian, and Singapore office all together, managing DevOps, managing the business analyst and all those people, a total staff of 350. And it taught me a lot about workplace management, staff motivation and mobilization, and making sure that the job is done. I understand a lot of tech. I know a lot of tech. And in some of the meetings that we went to and delivering some products, actually even for the government, the minister then, the cabinet secretary then, John Msheru, asked me where I did my coding and development course, because I took him on the development frameworks, that he was astounded, and he was like, where did you study development and coding? But really it was just the same old principle, applying yourself, working hard, and wherever you commit to, understanding that you must deliver. You asked about where to do AI and the law. At this point, AI in itself is not a standalone unit. Of course, we have been researching it actually even at this company. It's not a standalone unit. It's a quickly and rapidly evolving. But to understand AI as in and of itself, you must understand coding. You might want to take a few coding classes on YouTube. They are easy to get and understand the coding languages. Because you now understand the law, if you understand the law, then you understand the concept of AI, you'll be able to marry the two. But soon enough, I think technology and the law will be able to have a subset of AI in there. But really, coding is your answer to breaking that down. My master's, it was an online application. I applied. I had initially qualified for a full scholarship, but because of extraneous circumstances and the love of money, I chose to remain and work, and I didn't go for that option. So I then applied online, went for interviews online, and that's how I found myself studying the master's at Salford University, together in conjunction with the Kennedy School in Switzerland, Kennedy College in Switzerland. And really it's just the way they are the speaker, Dr. Lindsay? Yeah, the way she has explained that looking for opportunities where no one else is looking at, yeah, and just trying as much as possible to make sure that you are up to date when these announcements go up, marking the various pages that you want so that you get alerts and stuff like that. So you have to be creative in these spaces. Sometimes you go there, you find that applications are closed and everything, so you tell yourself, in September I will remember, but when it comes to September, you already forgot. So you must be able to do all those things. These law firms that hire, I was thinking it was even paralegals, but they are not paralegals. These law firms that hire people from high school, what are they really drafting? I doubt it's legal work. I'm not sure an unlawyer, and I highly doubt that an unlawyer can really draft a competent document for submission, whether in court or to a client. Yeah? As it were, a law student struggles with that. Imagine someone without the basic concept of drafting. So I don't know what they do, but I tell you for free, right now, right here, they don't practice law. They're doing something else. We will find out, but they don't practice law. Yeah? But I like the mindset, volunteering, being available, wanting to be there, wanting to work, and that's how you should be, yeah? I do not think there are law firms that are really, and as lawyers we are very selfish in terms of how we give out our positions, yeah? We will not give someone else to do our work when they are one of our own out there suffering. So I think continue applying yourself like that, even show up at the office, maybe you'll find one or two things to do. And that way you normally rest somewhere, yeah? So I not to challenge what you're saying, but being in practice and having this experience, I do not think these people are practicing law. They're doing something else. Maybe they're hiring clerks, someone to transport documents from one place to another. But preparing those documents, I'll tell you, even myself sometimes I find myself struggling to just generate a properly drafted document. So I'll draft one rough draft, leave it, then go do something else, then come back to it. So it cannot be that they really want to make their lives this complicated. With tech, I will tell you from how law firms are complying with tech. I'll tell you from our personal experience at the office. We have adopted a system of an ERP system that helps us to manage our workload, client updates, and making sure that there's a turnaround time that is efficient. So that one of the quickest things one of the things that tech has done is to make life easy, right? Generally, really, so we believe. And in that belief is to make the doing of the work easy and effective and actually cheaper for the client. So one of the things at the firm, we don't bill for the time spent doing work. So we don't do time billing or hourly billing. We do for work done, yeah? And that is a competitive edge already. Why work done? Because if you take time to do an opinion of 50 pages and I render the same opinion in 2 pages, it simply shows that you do not understand what you're talking about. I rather have a better grasp of that. And clients will pay more for the 2 pages than for the 50 pages because they are able to read it fast and appreciate what you've told them. So how do we achieve that? Through a system of management in terms of workload allocation, reporting timelines, georeferencing, someone reporting to work. They don't need to do biometrics. The minute their phone is within range of the office, the system already clocks them in as having reported because through the georeferencing, you map their phone to the system. And that also shows how much work is pending and work monitoring, so that if an opinion that should take 1 hour is taking 3 hours, it will reflect on your platform and on my platform as a supervisor as your matter is in red, your file is in red, and that the system prompts you that you're delaying on this outcome. And that has helped people be more efficient in managing their workload. When you go to court and you want to brief a client, what you do, the minute you update that in the system, the client will get a message and an email on their end. The client also has a portal on their side where they can log in and find out what has happened in their case and download the necessary documents that they need. So through that has helped in terms of client management, client engagement, and communication, where we are not wasting a lot of time in following up on those things. The other aspect is, of course, through AI and research, and of course, using AI to influence algorithm in marketing yourself. So that just because our pages are appearing on your platform, it doesn't mean that you went looking for us, we came looking for you. And we've seen what you like, and therefore we are showing you what we like. So that if you followed our pages, you'll notice that we have thematic weeks. And thematic weeks are aligned to industry practice. So if we want to talk about the health industry, and we're focusing on those thematic weeks, every single health institution will get a pop-up of our article that we have posted on our LinkedIn. And that's just the power of AI. So tech can be used and manipulated in different ways. It is just how you understand it and how you apply it. And I think those were all the questions. Have I left out any question? Thank you so much. Drop there.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Zakayo, for answering our questions. And right now, I would like to briefly talk about the mentorship program under African health law. Then after that, you're going to introduce the speakers. And Stephen Odhiambo is going to do that. So let me welcome Stephen Odhiambo to introduce the speakers, then I'll talk about that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Alakonya, for having satisfied our questions, which were posed to you. Thank you very much for that. So I will be able to introduce Okay, so I'll be able to introduce our next speakers. And I will start with, and remember, for our next speakers, we have limited time. So kindly try to adhere to 10 minutes each, kindly. I will start with Lynn Awor. Lynn Awor is a 2023 research intern for Africa Health Law. She has worked with an NGO. Lynn is a penultimate year student at JQuat. She's passionate about international law, commercial law, and human rights. Lynn is also a research fellow at Africa Health Law. So she'll be our first speaker. I hope you'll adhere to that time, which I've just allocated. Our next person to speak, or our next speaker, will be Peter Mogoba. Peter is a final year student. He is the outgoing president for Africa Health Law. Peter has worked as an intern at the Mohammed Muigai LLP. And Safaricom PLC. He is now an intern at Safaricom PLC. He's also passionate about civil litigation and corporate law. So I will hope you two are there to the 10 minutes. Our next speaker will be Amina Sugal. Amina is a final year student at JKUAT Karen. She has a penchant for health law and human rights. She is currently an intern at Soklo Advocates. I hope you two will adhere to the 10 minutes. Okay, I think. Oh, 5 minutes. Our final speaker will be Shalom Omondi Bright. Shalom is a final year finalist student at JKUAT Karen campus. He has worked as an intern for MMW Advocates. So he has more to tell us. All of them has more to tell us concerning how they manage to get the internship opportunities with the NGOs, or either to become interns at the firms. I, as a first year, or you as a final year student who hasn't been able to get a place to become an intern, you'll be able to know more on how you can be an intern through the research associates, the 2023 ones. So I hope you'll try to be kinda quick so that all goes well with us. Thank you. Lynn, kindly, the floor is open for you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lynn Awor, and I don't work at an organization. I work at the NGO Coordination Board. It's the one that regulates organizations, NGOs. So, a correction. So, yes, I started as a student here, and then I became a research intern at Africa Health Law with my fellow classmates. It has been quite a good journey because when I joined at first, I didn't know like what I really wanted to pursue, what I wanted to do, but through the internship and through the various mentorship programs that Madam Faith has done, I've been able to at least know what path I want to take. And as I joined Africa Health Law, I got the position of being a social media manager, which I started as an interest. For me, it's a hobby, but when I began, I grew and I've gone to learn a lot. So it has been quite the journey here. And then last year, there was a talk from the Refugee Consortium of Kenya. I don't know if some of you attended. So that was where I asked about in-house lawyering, how to be an in-house lawyer. And I was like, I don't want to start my journey into something I'm not sure of. And most of my fellow colleagues are pursuing, they are more of law interns at law firms, and an intern at NGO, which is a government, I think, a parastatal. So it's something you don't have to start at a law firm. You can always start somewhere else. You can start at an organization. You can start at government. There are so many places and there are so many opportunities to start. You can even start by writing. Some of us write, and Shalom has a legal blog, which is the Africa Law Hub. So it's somewhere you can start doing something legal. Yes, and my experience as a social media manager, I was able to work mainly through the following platforms, which is Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And it was good. Through Instagram, we grew the platform, and then also LinkedIn and Twitter. One of the farms that I do still follow that are really, really consistent with how they post is Alakonya. We have also CDH, which is, I think, Cliff Decker. And this is where you can learn more about topics that you're even taught in class. You get to see court cases, you get to learn more and understand various topics in law. So it's a good platform. We also have Twitter. That is something, how you use Twitter depends, especially if we are law students and lawyers. It's one of the biggest and the best platform, especially for activism. We have the hashtag activism, which one of the best examples is the Black Lives Matter. And also the one that recently happened in Kenya was End Femicide and Stop Killing Women. Through social media, we get to create evidence through videos and audios. We have the change.org, which is a platform where people can put on online petitions so that they can garner support for these initiatives and urge governments and organizations to take prompt action. And it's also a place where we can mobilize support from individuals to governments to organizations, and also make issues public by amplifying voices from the grassroots level to a global platform. So that was a touch on my topic. Yes, and I hope we all learned something from this mentorship program and we take something home. And if you have any question, talk to anyone, your student, your lecturer, an advocate, talk to anyone. And how I got the position at NGO board is funny because the one who recommended the job is somebody that works in the medical field. So tell people that you're actually actively looking for something to do. So don't be shy, just tell them, who knows, somebody will link you up with a certain opportunity. Thank you.
I hope he's online, Professor Minga, Dr. Ndambo. Sorry about that. Dr. Ndambo, Dr. Ashers, Dr. Nisen, Dr. Shali, Madam Faith, Mr. Zach, and everyone. Good evening. And now? What about now? Prof, can you hear me? Look. Okay. I can again begin. First of all, I'd like to thank Madam Faith for this opportunity. It's been a great journey with great strengths and weaknesses. And I remember the first time I met Madam, okay, she was a lecturer for commercial law, but first time I talked to her, like asking for an opportunity, was back in September. We met her at the door, and me and Collins were actually looking for an opportunity. And then she told us she'd hook us up with an opportunity, and then we followed up, and then we landed this position. I remember we recruited Lynn, Amina, and Shalom as well. So from there, Africa Health kept growing and growing and growing. and were very active on the social media platform. I'd say sadly, around October, I got an internship at, I remember Mohammed Migai, and how I got that position was, I was quite lucky. I just applied, and after 2 weeks, they called me for an interview. And then immediately after my interview, I remember the partner for pupillage and internship just told me, "Can you start tomorrow?" I was like, "Tomorrow? Okay, I can start tomorrow." And then luckily enough, while working at Mohammed Migai, I worked alongside with an in-house counsel for Safaricom, and she was very pleased with my work. She introduced me to the Safaricom team, and then I got an internship at the Safaricom team. So I was working both as an in-house intern for Safaricom and for Mohammed Migai. So yeah, I'm quite aggressive with opportunities. I tend to text partners on LinkedIn. I don't know if that's professional.
No, it's professional. In fact, Owen also inboxed me on LinkedIn, "Madam, is there an opportunity?" as well as Stephen, and that's how they got opportunity. So you cannot afford not to be on LinkedIn, because
Yeah.
it is professional, and some of my colleagues have been recruited through LinkedIn.
So I'm very aggressive. I remember another time I inboxed one of the partners from Kaplan and Stratton. It's Stratton, Cindy, Kaplan and Stratton, yeah? And then he told me to come for an interview the next week. I went for the interview, but I also went for the Mohammed Migai interview. But yeah, I started work the next day, so I couldn't go to Kaplan. Hopefully, I'll apply for pupillage again, and hopefully I'll get that opportunity. But it's all about being aggressive and knowing what you really want, and surrounding yourself with the right circle. One of my greatest friend, Collins, has challenged me to become a better student, has challenged me to become a better person in life. Like, you'd see what he's doing. He was working at Cliff Decker, and he's constantly aggressive with what he wants. And those are the people you want to surround yourself with. He encouraged me also to write, and actually, I remember during my interview, I wrote an article on something about land. I don't want to go into details because of time, but I led the interview because of that article. So whatever you write and on your CV you present it there, you can lead your interview to make you look like a better person and know what you're actually doing. But I challenge you to continue being aggressive. I challenge you to continue being great law students, and always be above your peers. Try and in everything you do, try and be above your peers. Try to be the best in what you do. And thank you so much, Madam Faith, for that great opportunity. Really opened windows for me as a person, I'd say. And thank you all for coming, and may God bless you.
My name is Amina Sugal, and I would want to echo what Lynn and Travis said about being aggressive, being bold, being entitled with what you want. Okay. Okay, my name is, I'm starting over again. My name is Amina Sugal. I would want to second what Lynn and Travis said about being aggressive, being entitled, telling people what you want. In just a normal conversation, just be like, I really want an internship, I want this and this. That's how you get connections, and that's how you network with people. Also make an effort to find your niche through the normal interaction, because honestly, I wouldn't be here talking to you if I didn't ask Madam Faith for an opportunity at Africa Health Law. So as Benjamin Franklin would aptly put it, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest.
one of my main interests has always been human rights and health rights. So working under Madam Faith in Africa Health Law has always been, getting an opportunity to work with Madam Faith was working with Madam Faith, getting an opportunity to work with Madam Faith, I was so delighted, and it enlightened me about the Pan-African organization, the intricacies. I managed to get transferable skills such as organization skills, research skills, teamwork, just to name a few. I'll delve into my roles under Africa Health Law. I was a researcher, and under my research roles, I managed to write an essay on the OGX case, and here under OGX case, we were to merge the health rights of the OGX with their human rights and make an analysis on how their rights were infringed. Under the social media role, I was the one posting. Lynn was managing the account while I was the one posting. I also, under the social media role, I also learned graphic designing, and I can easily say that at this point, I can make posters, and I can also make slideshows and make my presentation visual. Lastly, I want to thank Madam Faith for giving us this avenue and wholeheartedly supporting us through this journey. I would also like to thank Mr. Alakonya. He was one of our mentors for supporting us both academically and financially through this whole journey. And I also want to thank you guys for coming today here. I hope you learn 1, 2 things.
Okay, how do I put this thing on? They usually say save the best for last, so I hope I do justice.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are fine. My name is Shalom Omondi, and I'm a 4th-year law student at JQuat, Karen. And one of the first things I'd like to say to everyone is thank you all for coming to this event. A mentor of mine once said to me that taking one step outwards in whatever you do always brings results. And this lines with the topic for discussion which we were to have today, positioning yourself for student internship opportunities. But maybe I can rephrase the question, positioning yourself for student outternship opportunities. Now, you might be asking what exactly is an outternship and how it's different from an internship. Now, an outternship is a phrase I coined when someone stands up and steps out of the box. Everyone applies for an internship. I'm sure everyone here wants an internship. Even me, I want an internship. But what are you willing to do to get that internship? Some of the speakers that came before us have told us of the good things that they've done in their CVs. I wish mine was as good as that, but some of the things that you can do when trying to step out is write articles. That is one area which I personally do. So when you write articles, you not only get exposed outside, but you're able to show yourself. So when you even walk into
any business or law firm or internship opportunity, you're able to present something. Just like Mr. Travis Mogoba said, he presented his article on a land matter to Mohamed Muigai. So that is only one of the areas which you can use to step out, and there are a variety of other areas which you can do. For instance, I'm not sure how many of us here moot or debate even, but those are essential aspects that law firms look for. And if you want to do more than just the other student, it is always advisable for you to take this direction. You know, there is a famous quote that says, "When others sit down, I stand. And when the others stand, I stand out. And when others stand out, I become the standard measure." So you need to ask yourself, are you the standard measure? Are you doing more than enough in securing this internship opportunity? I would recommend, maybe you're asking yourself, what's the avenue, what's the way to go? Right, moot, debate, stand out. And that is what I implore you to do. So if you're looking even for an avenue, like Lena War said, I have Africa Law Hub. We publish articles for students. You can come, contact me, and I can help you work in your way towards becoming a successful outernship student. So start today and start your journey now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll also have Eden, who is a graduate from JQuat here. She was a 2023 research associate also. She will kindly stand up and say hi and wave. Thank you, Eden, for that. For the final bit, under the associates, we'll have Collins. Collins is a final year law student here at JQuat. He has worked as an intern at the Clyde and Company Kenya, and also at Cliff Decker of Mine Inc., where he provided regulatory advice, conducted due diligence processes, drafted legal documents, and advised on tax considerations for multinational clients. Collins do have a bigger bio, which I may not end it today. So kindly, Collins, you'll avail yourself and give us more insights.
It's good evening. Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank you, Madam Faith, for this opportunity. I think it's a great learning experience for a majority of us, and that includes the outgoing research associates and interns. So I've always believed, and I've always regarded myself as a Pan-African. I think this is mainly because I've always seen that African problems need to be solved with African solutions. And coming to Africa Health Law, I thought that Africa Health Law would be the best avenue for me to start out as a Pan-African student, because even with the name, I think the name, the official name is Africa Health and Human Rights Organization. But the inclusion of the word Africa, I think we were seeing Africa Health Law as something that would be solving problems at an African level rather than in the Kenyan jurisdiction. So going straight to the internship and the experiences that I've had, I'd like to first maybe give a disclaimer. I think that a majority of the times, the interactions that you have with people and the experiences that we get through the years tend to change a lot. And these would mean that even as at now, maybe Peter Mogoba is interested in civil litigation and commercial law, or Shalom interested in arbitration, I wouldn't be surprised maybe 20 years from now, maybe their position will have changed. I think that is mainly due to the interactions that maybe they would have had in the years coming. So for me, personally, I have always been interested in commercial law. And I think the interest in commercial law and maybe corporate and commercial law as always came from my lectures. So one, I had my lecturer, commercial law, one lecturer, Dr. Faith, who actually did a good job, I'd say, in teaching us and giving us great insights towards, what commercial law is, international commercial law is. And secondly, I think it was through my tax law classes. And so with that, then I was able to find my penchant at a very early time. But I would say that that is not the final penchant that I have as at now. As Alakonya said earlier, these law professions are something that you need to maybe put yourself out at this early stage, that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to practice, because there's a lot of dynamics. Yeah. So my first internship opportunity was at Cliff Decker Hofmeyr, and as Peter had mentioned, I think the avenues that we do have, especially the LinkedIn profile, our LinkedIn profiles, go a long way in maybe establishing where we learned during our university days. And so I had a mentor who I had reached out through LinkedIn. His name was Mr. Alex Kanyi. He's known as he's a well-known tax expert in the Kenyan jurisdiction. And with that, then with the mentorship that I received from Alex Kanyi, I was able to get an internship at CDH in their tax and exchange control department. And during my tenure at that place, it was actually one of the best experiences that I ever had. I would say, as an example, I would say that there was a time that I think it's called the CS for Treasury was making a budget speech. I think that was sometime in June. And as a firm, I think, even as the Alakonya law does, I think for them, I think this week they were doing a work on anti-doping regulation. So I think during that time, the CS for Treasury was making a speech on the budget speech, and it was speaking of the economic status of Kenya, the taxes that they plan to bring forward, etc. And the budget speech unfortunately came in at 6 p.m. And so that meant that we had to sit in the office up until 4 a.m. just drafting this budget speech and ensuring that it is out for dissemination by the next day, 8 a.m. And I found that to be a very interesting opportunity. Many people would complain actually that I wouldn't want to maybe stay for long in my office. As long as 5 p.m. has reached, I need to be out. But I think that the experience that I had with those guys during that time, during the budget speech meeting, was a really great experience. And I've had a lot of experiences during CDH. I've also been able to advise private clients on tax advisory matters. And with that, then it has also opened my eyes as to what is really going on within the African continent and the Kenyan jurisdiction. So for instance, we see issues such as transfer pricing becoming a very germane issue right now. And so we as students, then how do we position ourselves to maybe become become good transfer pricing lawyers? If a client comes to you and says that I have this transaction with my subsidiary that is in Kenya maybe,
and the transaction, maybe we want that it is within arm's length. How are we able to, as law students, as legal interns, and even as lawyers, maybe give out the best legal advice, with the transfer pricing regulation? Secondly, my internship was, I had another internship towards the end of the year at Clyde & Co., but that was in their corporate and commercial department. And so it was, I'd say it was a totally different experience from what I had at Cliff Decker, because Cliff Decker was majorly focused on tax and exchange control. So in the corporate commercial department, I had the opportunity to do a lot of mergers and acquisition work. And so really, I remember there's a time that certain clients within the African jurisdiction wanted a guidance note on the COMESA regulations to, in their merger notifications and all that. And I took up the role of drafting these guidance note on the COMESA notification procedures. There were other areas such as data protection, insurance law was actually a very big thing in the firm. And but the very fact that I think during my years in uni, I never had the opportunity to do insurance law. Then in practice, then I got to maybe understand, what goes on within the insurance law, understanding bank assurance, understanding a lot on mergers and acquisition. And to me, all these, sorry, I forgot to mention maybe how I got into Clyde. Clyde was also another opportunity that I got through mentorship. And I think a lot of advocates out here, maybe I'd say senior lawyers, are always willing to mentor students like us. So I've had mentors from top law firms, and they've opened my eyes as towards what we as law students need to focus on as we try to see whether we want to practice this area or that area. Yeah. So just to finish up, I'd like to say something on commercial awareness. I think for me, commercial awareness was very key to maybe trying to get into these opportunities, because I was able to have these discussions with these legal, with these advocates and senior lawyers. I think as law students, whenever we come across articles, I think it always calls upon us to actually try and do some deeper analysis as to what really goes on within this article. Recently, I think last week, there was an article on the COMESA, I think it was the Competition Authority of Kenya, and they were actually giving a notification as to these companies. I think it's called the East Africa Group, if I'm not wrong. They had acquired shares from I&M Bank at 10.13%. And to me, reading that notification, I felt like there was a lot more going on within the notification than any average reader would have maybe noticed. So we saw things such as private equity. And so as a law student, seeing that they've mentioned something such as private equity, what should you do? Maybe you do not understand what private equity is, how they're regulated in Kenya, the practices that are going on. And I think having that analysis last week made me understand, there's a lot that goes on in the private equity sector. In fact, investments into Kenya usually go through that route, and that was a very interesting thing to learn. We could also see that maybe the finance sector had affected them in one way or another, maybe offshore disposal of shares, among many. So I think commercial awareness is key, and I'd just like to implore all of us to maybe read more. I think Shalom and the rest have said a lot, maybe mooting and all that, but I'd say just read more and do a SWOT analysis on these articles that you come across. Maybe the disruption of AI, how does it affect various sectors? There's a recent article that I read that this company used AI to actually detect these minerals in Angola, if I'm not wrong. And so how does it affect the various sectors, the extractive industry, the private equity industry, among many. So thank you, Madam Faith, for this opportunity. I think Africa Health Law has opened a lot of opportunities for us. It has given us a lot of transferable skills that we've used in our daily endeavors. And I think even with the incoming associates and interns, maybe try and see that how Africa Health Law can help you maybe expand and move forward, because it is not only just maybe, let's say, the WEMA campaign. It's not only about WEMA campaign. There's a lot that you'd get here, and there's a lot that you could actually contribute towards the development of Africa. Thank you very much, Collins.
Wow. Thank you very much, our 2023 Research Associates. That was well said, and I think even us as interns, we have noted one or two to take back home, and we are also in that line of having such kind of an experience. That is well done. So I'll welcome any questions that you may have to any, or if you want, you can point any of our research associates. So I will welcome any question from the audience.
They can just talk it loudly.
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Miruka Christine. My question is to any associate or intern or anyone who can answer. How can you incorporate foreign languages in law? Like, for example, there are some of us as legal students, like I personally, I do German. Okay, I know German, I can communicate in German, and it's been of interest to me to incorporate that in my legal career. Like, how can I get that to work for me? Do I have to wait till I finish my undergraduate, or what can I do while doing my bachelor's degree in line with that foreign language? And then something else, the speakers who've spoken before, they've talked about internships. And my concern is, okay, some even mentioned I went for an internship on October, September. So like, can you do an internship while in session? And then another question is, you've talked about branding ourselves and all that, but my question remains, like, when am I going like to do this application for internship? How am I supposed to know like it's the right time to like apply for an internship to a certain law firm or NGO? Is there something like an advertisement, or like how do you know that? Like that's my whole time problem. Yeah, thank you.
I think maybe I can just answer that from here. But I'll just answer one question in regards to internship. Maybe one of my associates can take the other. So, I don't know if I got this right, on the question of internship, it was, can you do an internship while in session, and how do I know it's the right time? Those are the two questions. Concerning the first question, yes, it is very possible to do an internship while in session, but you have to be very smart and careful with your timing. You have to be time-oriented. I personally was able to do an internship last year at MMW while also being at Africa Health Law, while also being a school student. So one of the things you have to balance is reading and working. If you're able to balance this equally, then you're able to do the internship. But you have to put 100% in both of them. Now, that might sound a bit contradictory, but hard work follows you wherever you go. So if you feel that you're prepared to do this internship and you're 100% ready, then I would advise that you go at it. And maybe the second question, how do I know it's the right time? Most of the time, some law firms, they always offer internship opportunities, especially on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, I advise you to join. I personally was able to join the Singapore International Arbitration Center through an opportunity that was presented on LinkedIn. So there are multiple opportunities, even for artificial intelligence. There are so many AI programs on LinkedIn that are just waiting for people to register. And once you join LinkedIn and start following these web pages, you can find them easily. Another way to join these organizations is, through what Colin said, mentorship. But you have to take the first step and reach out. So when you're willing to reach out, then you'll know it's the right time. Yeah. I hope I've answered your question. I don't.
I'll just say it quickly. To your first question in regards, it's can you work and also go to school at the same time? I'll be very careful to remind you one thing. Article 43 of the Constitution, sorry, I usually speak the Constitution not everywhere I go, reminds us that we also have to take care of our mental health. So do not push yourself to a certain extent. People are different. There's some people who can handle schoolwork and at the same time go to the law firm. The legal realm, as I've seen it, sometimes can take a toll on you. So if you feel like your mental health cannot balance the two, just wait, just wait. Time will always avail itself. And to your second question, when is the right time to apply for internship? One person will tell you, time waits for no man, so apply at any point. But I'll tell you this, first work on yourself. If you feel that you're not good at research, work on improving this skill set. Work on this specific area of law that you want to improve yourself in. Or, alternatively, you can throw yourself in the water like we've been told before. If you have someone to hold you and guide you through the process, then that will be the right time. But if you feel like, no, my research skills are wanting, first improve on them, then throw yourself to the water. Yeah, that is all I can say.
Thank you. Yes, you have another one. Hello, Prof. Yes, you can.
Appreciate the presentations that have been made. Everyone that has spoken has made a lot of sense. Everyone that has spoken has said a lot of sense. And I appreciate that we have enough brand ambassadors in our students and in the graduates that have left the JQuad. That tells you that what you are getting at JQuad someone has talked about the time. Please don't sacrifice your academic for mentorship or internship. Because from where I sit as dean, I've had a number of students putting on hold their academic pursuits and going for what they call mentorship. Sometimes they go for internship. Others have even taken up employment at the expense of their studies. That will derail you, and a few of you are aware, particularly the final year students, that a few of you, not actually a few, a number of you have not even completed your research papers. Part of the reason why you have not completed your research papers, I suspect, is because you were committed at work or at your internship. But you see, it's now turning out to be costly because you lag behind in terms of your studies. Prioritize your studies, anything else, do it when you have spare time. And then finally, because I would like to log out shortly, let me appreciate all of you in terms of what you have said and done to make this particular event successful. And by no means would this one have been successful without each of you participating. And I appreciate Madam Faith and Madam Shali for sitting through the whole process. That's really very kind of you. And I've also had very good things that I've never had in class from my own students. I'm so happy. I've had so many very, very informed, expositions coming from our own students, which things I've not had in class. So if I had not come to this particular forum, possibly I could not have known much about our students. You are the best, and Alakonya will tell you that diversity will actually help. He says he went through an advanced kind of a system, but he learned something. What I also need to mention about him, they were 4 in that particular class who were competing and healthy. It was a very healthy competition among the 4. And he's among those fellows who will write until you have to force him to stop writing. And they'll use more than one booklet to answer an examination. That was my experience with them. And out of that particular group, we had the first student getting the first class from JQuat in their group. So you can imagine what type of students they were and what type of lawyers they are. I know one of them ended up doing an MBA. Joshua did an MBA. What I'm suggesting, even for the one who was asking about doing a language, you are free to do so. Even instead of spending time, chatting, you can spare a bit of that time and do something else which will make you globally competitive. Thank you very much. But humility is key, because I had one word that worried me. I had someone say that you must be entitled. Entitlement is not the right approach. Humility is actually a strength. Your health is your wealth. And of course, your networks are your net worth. May you be blessed, even as you wind up, because I'll be logging out shortly. Thank you very much.
Presence. And I hope each and every one of us have, and I hope each one and every one of us has been able to get what you just said, and to put them into consideration also. I will welcome the next speaker. Yes. Prof, kwa heri. Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Prof. Owen, the podium is there for you. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'm Owen Malingu. Most of you, I know you're wondering who I am because I'm walking around each and every time. So in today's event, I've been working in the position of the one in charge of writing the minutes and everything else. So I think I've been the jack of all trades in today's event. And at this particular juncture, let me invite Dr. Shali Genga to award the research associates, and to the research associates, your money award, let me just say it that way, will be given to you next.
because even when you're applying for your master's, we found out this the hard way. When you're applying for your master's, they don't want to know that you only did well academically. They ask you about your extracurricular activities. And if you have none, there's a high chance you're not going to get those positions. So yeah, so you have to find a sweet balance of both areas. I'll be awarding the certificates to the exceptional students. I think we will do it with you. There's a batch after. Yeah. I will begin with Dexter Adaki. I'll give, and then you will, after me, you'll give. Dexter Adaki. Give the cash. Dexter Adaki. Yeah, a very exceptional student. He's actually currently writing a book on biotechnology. Oh, wow. It's very impressive. And Amina Sugal. And something to note about these students, as much as they are doing extracurricular activities, doing schoolwork, they all managed to hand in their research paper one. I don't know where they found the time, because I'm supervising some of them and I'm seeing them here, so I'm very surprised. And they're one of my best students from their north. Eden Nyaga. Forgive me if I butcher your name, sorry. Yes. Alma Kerubo. Okay, sorry. Okay. Irene Macau. Oh, she's also absent. Okay. Alvin Onchiri. Absent. Okay. Michelle Cheruto. Yes. Janet Kola. Shalom Bright Omondi. Brian Onyancha. Oh, sorry. That's the certificate for participation, and then this is now the certificate for completion. Shalom Bright Omondi. Amina Sugal. Lennox Ajega. Collins Owino. Eden Kagwiria Nyaga. Lynn Awor. Donald Le Coupes. Peter Magoba. Congratulations to you all. Okay, so and we had a special one, although Zach did not say he really wanted. We had a special one for him, to
to just say thank you to Zach for always coming. Whenever I call Zach to do this, he does it. We've come from far. In fact, he was amongst the first group of students that I started teaching here in JKUAT sometime in 2013, 2014. And even when I started my small kiosk, tulienda na yeye huko View Park Tower, kaofisi kadogo, hata aliwaambia watu wawili wakae ndani, tumetoka mbali, all right? And if you build rapport, he just came to me and asked me, Madam, I'm finished 4th year, I don't know what to do next. Just the same way Peter and Collins had approached me. So you approach not only me, but your lecturer. You don't know what opportunities will happen, all right? So Zach, asante sana. Then, the people who are often forgotten is Peter Kabugi. Even for him, he was a small gentleman, like I was a very tiny lady. When we met the first time, I started in kiosk, Uko View Park Tower. Then I went to his office. I said, can you design for me a logo for my law firm? Then akangara kasema, aka kasichana. But we didn't know how far we'd be going. And so I have known Kabugi since 2013. He started with one camera, but you can see how many people he has now. Almost 10 years later, all right? So you build your networks and you grow. And Kabugi has worked now with the Law Society of Kenya. In fact, he was even doing the Faith Odhiambo, who is the president right now. He was the one who was doing the official photography and videography. And he's always come to JKUAT. I always call him and tell him, can you come and do photography, videography? He says, yes, that tunaongea atakosana bei, all right? So we want to say thank you to you, Kabugi. This is a small certificate for you. All right. And that is all. Thank you for your patience. We'll invite Brian, who is one of our student leader. You already know him. He's just going to give you a vote of thanks. 5 minutes, we finish up, and then we will take a photograph as a group, and you will get all the pictures within next week. And thank you for your patience, and I really appreciate seeing some of you who I have taught as well. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Madam Faith. To begin with, our students, my colleagues, classmates, first year, second years, third years, fourth years, and also students from other universities. Thank you for attending this event. We couldn't have made it without you guys. Also, I want to appreciate and thank the school administration. That's the office of the school campus principal, through the office of the Dean School of Law, for giving us the permission and facilitating the venue and everything pertaining this event. Also our lecturers, want to appreciate you in a special way, starting with Dr. Shali Genga, who was sitting through, and also the lecturers who joined us online, Dr. Ashas, Dr. Ndambo, Ms. Mudhoni Mwangi, and also our Dean, School of Law, Dr. Steven Aminga. So thank you so much for creating time and joining us for the same. Also to our service providers, we appreciate you. We appreciate the work you do. Live streaming the event was very key to this session, and we sincerely appreciate you. Also our school cafeteria, we appreciate for the refreshments, which were facilitated by Madam Faith. We are grateful. I know some students, that was lunch for them. So we are more than grateful. Yeah, there's also more soda after the event. We can still enjoy the refreshments. To the research associates for 2023, we appreciate you guys. Most of us have learned about Africa Health Law through you guys. I remember I learned about Africa Health Law through Eden. We were serving at the student congress together. She was the legal affairs secretary when I was the governor of JKUAT current campus. That's how I came to know about Africa Health Law, and through online, that's how I managed to know about it. And I remember Madam Faith Simi was taking me through Commercial Law 1 also. And at the end of the semester, during her last class, that's when I approached her together with a friend of mine, Alvin Onchiri, and Joanne, And that's how we managed to get into Africa Health Law. So thank you so much for showing us the way and charting the path for us. Also the interns, I appreciate the efforts, the work you do. It's not easy. Congratulations. And being that you are first years, I know you have a long way to go. And I can see success in you guys. The research associates for 2024, my colleagues, I hope we'll work together and make Africa Health Law better, and we'll pick it from where our seniors have left it. To our guests, our key speakers, our very own alumnus, Mr. Zakayo Alakonya, we thank you for your time, for your dedication, and for creating time. I know creating time from your busy schedule, it's or on a Friday, I know you have so many things to do. We sincerely appreciate, and the session that you took us through was very insightful. It was eye-opening, and particularly to be specific for me, when you talked about how you have integrated technology in your law firm, on how you manage your clients and everything. That was outstanding for me. And one day, when I'll be having my own law firm, I hope I'll be doing such kind of excellent work. Also to Dr. Ladies Nissen, we thank you for your time, for creating time, and taking us through on how to get opportunities and scholarship opportunities in universities abroad. Most of us, I know we have ambitions of going to do our masters from, particularly for me, in the UK and European countries and even in the United States. So we thank you for your time and for the insightful session. To finish, I want to finish with Dr. to be very soon, Faith Simiyu, for everything, for the efforts, for putting together everything. Everything you see is because of her. We sincerely appreciate. We thank you for the, taking it upon you to mentor young students. And my experience so far in Africa Health Law is that, and from what I see from my seniors, it's like it opens doors for you. It's a forum for you to grow not only in terms of legal research, writing, and legal issues, but also to grow holistically. To know how to manage your time, manage events. I'm sure for the interns right now they can organize an event. Well, in first year, for me in first year, I don't think I could have organized an event properly and make sure it has gone well. So for me, Africa Health Law is a platform for you to grow, to better your skills in terms of legal research, legal writing, and to understand more about human rights, and now to be specific on health rights. And to that extent, I know most of you are interested in how can I get into Africa Health Law. Most of my friends are asking me, like, how did you get into Africa Health Law? And I want to say that there's normally a recruitment process. You do an essay, then the top students, they'll get an opportunity for you to get into Africa Health Law. So whenever that opportunity will arise, you'll be able to see it if you follow the social media pages on Instagram, LinkedIn, and you'll be able to understand on how to join Africa Health Law. So as also our senior said, like, put yourselves out there. Like, what's in your network in terms of social media? Who do you follow? Follow such kind of pages. That's where you learn. You get opportunities. That's where you learn how to harness these kind of opportunities. So follow the right channels. So thank you so much for attending, and God bless you. As we also finish, I want to request for students from the Karen and one student from the other universities to give us feedback in terms of a very short video, 30 seconds, on how was the session for you. We'll meet downstairs so that we can do the video. Yeah, we can actually meet over this side, do the video quickly. Then also it's another way for you to put yourselves out there. So kindly, if you would like to be part of that, reach out to me when I take my seat. So thank you so much for attending, and God bless you. Have a good weekend.
Kindly, I'll request